Now, the American playwright Neil Simon has died at the age of 91. He wrote more than 30 plays, including the comedy classics Come Blow Your Horn and The Odd Couple. He was the first playwright to have a Broadway theatre named after him and won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1991 for Lost in Yonkers. Andrew Plant looks back at his work.
Well, I think I always liked the play most because that's the origin of it, that's the beginning.
Robert Redford once called him the most successful playwright since Shakespeare. Neil Simon was certainly prolific, averaging at least one play per year for much of his career, and penning material so popular, his name became synonymous with Broadway success. Born in the Bronx in 1927, he endured, he said, an unhappy childhood, storing up tragically comic situations that would later define much of his work. Those close to him remember feeling like their personal lives were suddenly being made into international hits.
He was writing about me and about everybody I grew up with. It was as if we had our own playwright who was telling our story. When he wrote Brighton Beach Memoirs, we all grew up right near Brighton Beach. Every scene was familiar. When he wrote The Odd Couple, it was our friends. So he was writing about us. It was as if we lived in London and Shakespeare somehow had gotten into our neighborhood and figured out what was making us tick. So it was so personal, and yet he had the ability to write for everybody.
If we didn't have Walter and Jack to do it, I wouldn't do it.
1965 saw The Odd Couple debut, earning Simon a Tony Award for Best Playwright, and turned into a hit Hollywood film 3 years later, starring some of Tinseltown's biggest names, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. His work included musicals too, including Sweet Charity and They're Playing Our Song. Stars have taken to the internet to pay tribute to him, Elaine Page saying R.I.P. Neil Simon, Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright and librettist for Sweet Charity and Promises, Promises. He truly was the king of Broadway comedy. And actor Josh Gad saying, to say that Neil Simon was one of the primary influences on my life and career would be an understatement. R.I.P. to another lost legend. Neil Simon penned more than 30 plays and almost as many film screenplays, and received more Oscar and Tony Award nominations than any other writer during a career lasting more than 60 years. Andrew Plant, BBC News.